The end of Evangelion. The film initially designed as an alternate ending to the series Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I didn't like it. Now, before I begin, I want to give a couple of warnings. If you're either squeamish, epileptic, or don't like spoilers, since I will be giving a lot of spoilers here, I do not recommend watching this video. You have been warned. Also, I just want to make this clear, since if I didn't say this, some people might misinterpret this video as me stating my opinions as fact. And that's happened several times in the past. These reasons, even if a few of these are deemed as minor complaints, are simply my opinion and can be proven wrong if they are in fact wrong. Now with all that out of the way, let's rock it! Number 5 is Seele's plan. You see, back in the original series, they wanted to destroy mankind with the angels. But when that failed, they decided to use human instrumentality, which is the act of uniting all souls into one being as well as removing any individuality. So, kinda like otakus then. And you wanna know what's funny about all this? Because they treated this concept incredibly poorly in the show, this got Gainax into hot water by not only the fans of the show, but also people who knew about the concept of instrumentality. But, let me get to the point. It's not the idea I have an issue with, but rather what they use it for, and/or its execution. Now, in the interest of fairness, I may have gotten a bad translation when I saw the movie, so correct me if I do happen to mess this up. But part of the reason they want to do this is for the next stage of evolution for humanity. But wait! It gets sillier! How do they implement this? By combining a 14-year-old with this piece of shit, and turning everyone into a sea of tomato juice.
LCL!
Sorry, LCMNOP. But, yeah, the next stage of evolution involves humanity regressing into singular life forms!
Oh, but by removing all the faults it makes for a better race!
No, it alters progression. Plus, look back at species that evolved over time. If we use the theory of evolution, those creatures had individuality in some form, and yet they still evolved. Evolution has nothing to fucking do with individuality. Yes, I know this is a controversial topic to talk about, and I'm probably looking too deep into this, but this plan is more head-scratching than anything else. If you want to make everyone into a hive mind for the sake of uniting everyone, fine. But don't say it's for evolution, because as I proved before, that's bullshit! Oh, and one more thing about Seele. In an earlier scene, they attack Nerve using basic artillery, and then send in the more powerful EVA units after Asuka destroyed said artillery! Yeah, screw sending in the big guns right away! Just waste thousands of soldiers and resources first! Our villains, everyone! Oh boy, this scene. Yep, that one! Do I even need to explain what's wrong with this picture? You got the main character, Shinji, jerking the gherkin to Asuka, who is in a coma right now. Ignoring the fact that what this guy did is more unethical than Kotaku in 2014, this scene is also really pointless. Yes, I'm aware that certain versions of the movie up the lighting so you can't see the you-know-what on his hand, which implies how embarrassed they were about said scene, but my point still stands.
Hey, but you see, Mounty, this is meant to show how fucked up Shinji is!
Except, that's a shitty reason. Remember, this is a series where the teenagers and adults get psychologically damaged over the course of the series. The main character has layers upon layers of problems, and the fans already know this! And if you want to argue it's for newer viewers, then that still fails in the event they see Death and Rebirth first, which was mostly a recap of the series, but also contained a retelling of episode 25 near the end of said film. But even in the possibility that they didn't see that film first, odds are most people would be hating this character more than sympathize with him later on, because I don't know about you guys, but no normal person jerks off to a comatose person unless they are fucked in the head. Fuck this scene with a dick. Throughout a lot of this film, there is a lot of gore/disturbing shit, and as you can tell, I don't like it in this movie. Now I know that a series like this is gonna have violence and blood and whatnot, but the way it's handled in this film is what I take issue with. A lot of the gore is really detailed and unpleasant to look at, and this is why I put that warning at the beginning of the video. As you can tell, I am not a fan of this kind of gore. Look, I like horror movies, but this is a little too much for me. But that's not the main reason this entry is number 3. It is part of the reason, but the main reason is because of the friggin' disturbing shit throughout a large amount of the film, such as the designs of the mass-produced Evas, the scene where Gendo tries to get Rei to take him to his wife, and...
Surprise, motherfucker!
What the fuck do I say about that?! The problem with these scenes is that it gives off a really strange tone to the film. In a lot of these scenes, the tone of horror and suspense is supposed to be present. But with this kind of shit, it's either more laughable than scary, or it's just confusing to look at. And that's a bad thing. When you are making a film that is essentially rocks fall, everybody dies, and you execute the tone with more WTFs than Gurren Lagann, you fucked up big time. So that's why it's this high on this list. When you fuck up a tone and make me feel sick, you deserve a spot on this list. And what was the point of those live action shots? Honestly. Speaking of things that made me feel sick, I'm going to talk about something that literally gave me a headache. Look, I'm not epileptic, but the fast-moving images and seizures really hurt my eyes when I first saw this film. But before I go on a bitch fit, let me explain further why this is a problem for me. As I said before, I'm not epileptic, but I do have issues sometimes seeing multiple objects shaped exactly the same as the previous one. With a case like the fast-moving images, my eyes are trying to identify each individual image as it quickly flashes by in the same position, and I shit you not, the first time I saw these scenes, I had to pause the video once each of these scenes ended and get a drink of water. No joke. It was a literal pain to sit through, and it also gave me a headache. As for the seizures, I hate these scenes because it was also a major annoyance to sit through, and it was a strain on my eyes. And I'm not even epileptic and it fucking hurt. With both of these scenes, I have just one question to ask. What is the point? So not only did these scenes give me a headache, but I also feel that these moments are completely fucking worthless. My biggest problem that I have with this film is ultimately its execution. I feel that a lot of this movie could have worked if the execution was handled better. For example, I didn't mind if the ending's tone was essentially everyone is dead. My problem though was that the tone leading up to it could have been handled in a much better way. I still stand by the opinion that that disturbing shit is more laughable than anything, and that was used in the setup. I didn't mind Seele's plan that much conceptually, but my problem was the way it was executed and that whole evolution bullshit. And even shit like Shinji rejecting instrumentality could have been executed better in my opinion, since he just kills Rei. That's it. And I feel the film doesn't even do a good job explaining if the people converted into LCL are truly dead, or could simply reform into their original bodies at some point. After all, Asuka was able to do it, and she was killed by the Eva units. Not even the characters in this film were handled well in my opinion. Asuka and Misoto got the shit end of the stick, the members of NERV are completely incompetent against Seele when they attack NERV headquarters, and the execution of Shinji's character is the absolute fucking worst. Whining like a little bitch, throwing a fucking tantrum in one of the scenes involving Asuka, and by the end, all that really happens to him is he ultimately isolates himself even more. I'm not even kidding, I'll get to that in a moment. And his treatment of Asuka is the fucking worst. You already heard me talk about what he did to her when she was comatose. So let me bring up the fact that he tried to kill Asuka twice by choking her. Even when the world is covered in LCL, and Asuka and Shinji are the last two on the planet since we don't know if everyone else can reform or not, what does he do? He chokes her! Again! Seriously, fuck you, Shinji! Fuck you! Hell, even this film's premise could have been executed better, and here's where I give a little history lesson. I mentioned earlier that the poor planning of the human instrumentality concept, as well as the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion, got Gainax in the hot water, but there was a lot more to it. Hideaki Anno, the series creator, received death threats, hate mail, and his company was even vandalized by people. As a result, this caused the creator to suffer mental issues as well as depression, and made this as a direct response to the people who hated his original ending. And you know what? It does feel like an angry response to his critics. Oh, you don't like my symbolism? Well, I'll shove in as many as I want into this movie. You don't like these characters? Well, fuck you. I'll make them do shit like jerk off to a comatose person and act unlikable for no reason. You don't like the happy-go-lucky tone of the ending? Well, screw you. I'll kill everyone else and piss off even those who like the original ending. You wanted to have a dark and depressing ending? Fine. But don't do it as a response to your fucking critics. And certainly don't do it when you're having mental issues. That's like having a sociopath next to a room full of firearms. You're pretty much asking for shit to go wrong. And that's exactly what happened. What is Gainax doing now? Trying to cash in on the success of Evangelion by redoing the entire series and turning it into 4 films. Yes, there were shows that came out after it, but what are they doing as of right now in 2015? Exactly my point. So yeah, even if I ignore the other problems with this film, my biggest issue was ultimately the execution. And with something as important as execution, fucking that up hurt the film for me. Look, I wanted to enjoy this movie. I didn't even care that much about the original show, so hey, maybe if the ending did well, I could kind of forgive it. But I just couldn't. I'm the Mountie, and this concludes my top 5. Take care, everyone.